Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. I have a special guest today, Dr. David Mitchell, President, Olympic College. We're going to learn about him, but most importantly, about the college itself, what's going on in programs and on the campus. Stay with us. Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. I have a special guest today, and it's Dr. Mitchell. He's the president, Olympic College. We're going to learn about his arrival in Bremerton and the exciting things that are happening on the college campus. Welcome.
Thank you.
And so let us learn a little bit about you, Dr. Mitchell. I know that math has been one of the things that you took in college. You still have that as a high priority. And how did you end up in Bremerton? And where's the beginning of Dr. Mitchell's life?
Well, I grew up in Los Angeles area and got my bachelor's degree in mathematics from California State University at Northridge. And then I moved up to Washington State, and that would be 1972. Age myself here. And went to Washington State and got a master's degree in math. Then I got a job as a math professor at Big Bend Community College in Central Washington, and became tenured and faculty president. Then applied for an administrative job at North Seattle Community College and became the associate dean of science, math, and technology, and then eventually the vice president at North Seattle Community College. And I picked up my PhD at the University of Washington in the 80s, so I'm both a cougar and a husky. And after being vice president at North Seattle, I became the president at South Seattle Community College. And I was president there for 5 years and saw an opportunity in Bremerton for the president of Olympic College and applied for that. And I'm going on my 14th year now, which is well beyond the average tenure for a college president.
But we're delighted to have you. And so many things have happened since you have been with Bremerton and Olympic College. You've seen lots of changes, and I know I've been at the college, and you still, if there was an opportunity, will walk into a classroom and teach math. So you've never lost that. That's pretty exciting. Talking about the things that are going on at Olympic College, the biggest thing right now is that you're starting a new building. And the amount of money that was appropriated finally is the largest ever in any of the community colleges. There are 34 community colleges in the state of Washington, and this has been about a 15-year plan in order for you to have this building. And what's the amount of money that is going to take and complete this particular project?
Okay. Before I talk about the building, when I go back to teaching math, a few years ago I did teach a math class at Olympic College. It was an evening class, pre-calculus, and it's about halfway through the class. I didn't tell the students who I was, but my wife called up and told the Kitsap Sun, and so they showed up into the classroom with cameras, and the students were sort of freaking out. They didn't know what it was about. But it was, it really gives me a different perspective of what's going on at a college, to actually be in the classroom with the students. I haven't done it for a few years, and one of the main reasons is that the technology and the instructional technology that's available, I need to take a sabbatical to learn it. The math hasn't changed, but the way you teach it and the pedagogy has. The building that you talked about is, it is the, in terms of funding, the largest project the community and technical college system in the state has ever had, and it's they just broke ground about 2 weeks ago. If you go by the campus, you can see the old parking lot that used to be where Roosevelt Field is gone, and they're already digging the dirt, and we'll be having a groundbreaking fairly soon. It's about 70,000 square feet. It'll house the art, music, and drama, physical therapy assisting. We'll move from our Paulsville campus down to Bremerton, some nursing simulation labs. We'll have active learning classrooms. It's really quite a building, and a theater, a state-of-the-art theater, which will be a tremendous community resource. So we view this building as a community building. It belongs to the community, not just the college, and it'll be a venue that's I think will fill a void in the Bremerton area. So we're excited about that. The old art, music, drama facility, which is past its useful life, will be torn down, and we'll put a parking lot where that building will be. So we're quite excited about it, and encourage people to drive by and take a look at the construction. There'll be a webcam site so people can check it out as it goes through.
One of the things, and I know the audience knows, parking has always been a problem. And because you've had to rearrange the parking, you've been amazingly doing outreach. I know that Council President Greg Wheeler, other people that are involved in that district are always asking you, how are you going to take and get through this construction stage? The nicest thing is that on your website, you're telling people where things are happening. It's not going to be that they're going to drive up and say, oh my goodness, now I can't park there today. So there's been a lot of outreach just letting people know about this construction project and the benefit they're going to have at the end.
Yeah, we have good neighbors. We've tried to keep them informed. We had a community meeting talking about the parking. There was some angst among the neighbors because the building site, the footprint is on the existing parking lot, and we'll lose 250 spaces. We looked at renting space in a local church, using some of our satellite lots and paving a little bit of the area on the campus. And it'll be about a 2-year challenge because the said art, music, drama cannot move into the new building until it's complete. And so we can't tear it down and build that parking lot for a couple of years. But I think our planning paid off. The first day they fenced off the area in the parking lot where the construction was going to be, and the 250 spaces were gone. I was a little worried driving to work. If my hair could have got any grayer, it would have gotten grayer. I had visions of students driving around in circles trying to find a place to park, but it has worked out. Every day since then there has been empty spots. You may have to walk a couple blocks, but I gave up my assigned parking, so I get to see students in a different light walking walking through the neighborhood or across campus. But the parking, it worked out, and we're going to get through that.
And Kitsap Transit is a good partner.
Yeah.
The city, from the time that the college has started making changes, the city's had a 20-year plan, and it gets updated every few years. That allows us to take and know when roads need to go from two-way to one-way. This parking is another thing. We're going to have Kitsap Transit will actually have room for 2 buses at some point as we finish this construction and we add a little more maneuverability around the campus.
And we'd really like to get more public transit, the students to use public transit more, and carpool. You can only build so many parking lots, and the project, part of the project is a Kitsap Transit turnaround in the campus, so that'll hopefully increase ridership among the students. And we're working with Kitsap Transit to try and negotiate some deals so the students could have some discounts and, again, incentivize them to use transit more, which is, I think, what everyone would like to see, including the neighbors.
And so would the city.
Yeah.
We have the same problem. But I know that's coming. Instead of just calling it public transportation, I think Kitsap Transit now is looking at it as transportation for the public, increasing the hours that it operates so that with that advanced service, it'll be easier for students that have a job. They need to get back and forth from the campus. So that's a good thing. Some other things that are going on. You just hired a new employee, and I've had the honor of meeting her. And tell us a little bit about Cheryl and her capacity on campus.
Yeah, Cheryl Nunez, she just came to Olympic College back in July. She was the special assistant to the president of Xavier University in Cincinnati, where she has spent most of her career. And we're delighted to have her here. Her title is Vice President for Equity and Inclusion. And the opportunity gap in this country and in this state and at Olympic College it still exists. And by opportunity gap, there's underrepresented populations at colleges. They don't participate in higher education at the same rates as other students, and they don't complete and graduate at the same rate, which is really unacceptable. And our board and myself and the administration and the college has as a goal to close that gap, which, as I mentioned, is widening, but not just to shrink it, but to close it. So Cheryl Nunez will be working throughout the campus to put together strategies to implement strategies around student services supports, pedagogy, classroom, to close that gap. What's unique about this position, I think it might be unique nationally, is it's not a position that's off to the side, it's in the mainstream of the college. As Vice President for Equity and Inclusion, she also is in charge of the Human Relations Department and the Communications Department, which really gives that position an umbrella authority to affect change and affect the climate. So we're very excited about her being here. We just had a community reception for her last night. Community members from throughout Bremerton-Kitsap area were there. Because to close the gap, it really isn't just the college. It's a community challenge to bring in more underrepresented populations and to succeed with them and they complete is a community effort. So that's how Cheryl looks at it, and that's how I look at it. And it was great to see community leaders there last night recognizing her.
That's exciting. And I know she'll do a wonderful job. Also, in December, or in January, you have a diversity conference. This is your third year that you've had this, or fourth year?
Yeah, it's in June, actually.
It's in June
and
coming
it'll
up.
be the third year that we've had
Third
it. We
year.
bring in national speakers, and it's exciting because we get people from higher education institutions throughout the Northwest, but also members of the community, leaders of different communities in Kitsap and Mason County come to this, and they really appreciate being part of that conference.
I met lots of other educators, professors from other community colleges, and also like West Sound Tech or Bates or Clover Park. They were interested in how you were doing things. That came under, again, your leadership since you've been here. Starting that program, I was able to be at each one that you've had. I learned something every time that I go, and it just, again, shows this outreach. Also, you've had at least two people that travel outside of the state of Washington and outside of the United States. They're trying to expand what we offer to foreign students. And I believe we're over 100 foreign students now?
Yes.
Or at that?
Yeah.
So this is something too that as you talk about Cheryl's position and you talk about what we've done as part of being diverse, we are such a little microcosm. Bremerton isn't just the largest city in Kitsap County. We have such a diverse population, and the college really resembles that. So as they've gone out and gotten people from Africa and from Ireland and from all different countries around the world, their countries pay for them to come here. And you've even started a student dorm system for them. So we've really reached out to get that diversity and make that happen, and make it something that the college can make that a high priority.
The diversity conference, I really need to give credit to one of our faculty counselors, Teresa Jones, who it was really her idea. And sometimes as president you get blamed for things you didn't have anything to do with, and you get credit for things you didn't have a lot to do with. Teresa Jones, I really supported it, but she pretty much single-handedly put that together. When I was in Seattle, both at North Seattle College and South Seattle College, we had very large international student programs. And when I came to Bremerton, I was surprised they didn't have one. And this was right after 9/11, so it was probably one of the worst times to start an international student program. And it grew very, very slowly for several years, and then it started to take off. We have over 150 students now, and I have a goal of around 250 students, and they do pay their full cost, so they're not being subsidized by Washington taxpayers. They pay the full cost, so there is a revenue enhancement there. But it's not just the revenue. We learn as much from them as they learn from us. There are students in Bremerton and Kitsap and Mason County that will never get to travel overseas, and they get to interact with students from countries all over the world, so it's a real win-win. And it's a great program. And the Bremer Trust purchased an apartment complex in Bremerton and renovated it, and we use it for student housing for international students. And it's turned out that half the students that are using it are international, and half are U.S. citizens, which surprised local citizens in Bremerton and Kitsap, which surprised us. But it's full with a waiting list. So that's been a great success. But the international student program, I think, is an outstanding program. They enhance the environment in and out of the classroom, and both the international students and the U.S. students benefit tremendously from it.
The whole community benefits. I'm always so proud as the mayor to think that when people leave their education here, and whether it's high school, but definitely through their associate degree, and then we have so many programs that now allow them to have baccalaureate, they're ready for the world.
Yeah.
They've had that experience and that interchange, so that's an exciting time. Right. Speaking of baccalaureates, you've partnered with 3 different universities to have programs so someone can stay home, get their education, and have that baccalaureate degree. Tell us a little bit about each one of those 4, or now it's 5 programs.
Yeah, actually,
soon to be 6.
When I came, there were no publicly funded FTEs for baccalaureates. Now there's 9 baccalaureates between what we do and what our partners do. I can remember the first week I was here having many community members come up and say, "We want Olympic College to be a university. When are you going to make this happen?" And it just wasn't realistic. The funding isn't there. The region needs a community college with the open access mission. So I looked at it as one size doesn't fit all, so if it made sense for Olympic College to offer baccalaureates, we would do that, and we offered one of the first Bachelor of Science in Nursing in the nation, and it's been very successful. We've had it for several years now. We've since added 2 other baccalaureates, and we've entered into partnerships with universities. When it didn't make sense for us to do it, we would work with a university partner, like mechanical engineering. It really made more sense to have a university partner in Washington State University, under Dr. Elson Floyd, their president at the time, who really helped that program and spearheaded it. They started with the help of with the help of people like Congressman Kilmer, who was then a state senator, support from Commissioner Garrido, who was instrumental in getting the community behind more baccalaureates. Then we had a partnership with Western Washington University at Paulsbo. I called up their president, Dr. Shepard, and said, "We've got some capacity at our Paulsbo campus," and he jumped on that. Their Board of Regents were supportive, and they are now offering environmental science and environmental policy, and their School of Business is offering a baccalaureate. Last legislative session, with strong support from Representative Drew Hansen, who chairs the House Higher Ed, they got funding to add a cybersecurity bachelor's program, Western at Paulsbo. In fact, Western, they're really excited about being here. They call themselves Western on the Peninsula, serving all 3 counties.
That's their new logo.
And cybersecurity is one of the top 2 fastest growing professions in the country. So that's going to be a real opportunity for people in this area. And then with Drew Hansen's help, we got funding to bring electrical engineering from WSU into Bremerton. So this is just a tremendous opportunity. It's 9 publicly funded baccalaureates available to citizens in this area, and 10 years ago there wasn't any. And we have the WSU engineering graduates participate in our graduation, and to see those students graduate, and these are additive baccalaureates for the state. They would not have gotten a baccalaureate if these were not available, because they're place-bound. And many of them go to work for the shipyard, and all of these baccalaureates are designed to meet local workforce demands. They're not in, and I love philosophy, but they're not in philosophy. And we had to demonstrate demand in electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, cybersecurity, all those areas. So.
And that's one of the great things that you've been able to do is you're part of the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance. And the reason is that we find out through our businesses, if we want to grow and we want the more jobs to be available, we need to find out what the employer needs. Yeah. I know that there was a job written, and we're going to get into some of our veterans things, for the new composite materials. So you had a curriculum written for the college. Half the students were veterans, and when they graduated, they were all hired. We have a new company that's in Port Orchard called Alejandro. They came up with 10 employees. They have hired everyone from that particular class that works with composite materials. So you found out what the needs are in our community, and Olympic College is fulfilling that. Talking about veterans, we are the second largest in the state for enrollment, and you've done some things, and again, credit goes to some of your staffing, but to have a veterans facility, and you've just received in the last few weeks another $300,000 from the state to advance what the academic program is going to be for veterans.
It's a grant from the federal government.
Federal government.
And
Thank
we
you.
actually have the second largest veteran population in the state of Washington. Pierce College has the highest. It's not a whole lot higher than ours because of Lewis McCord base. And when you count the veterans, active duty, and dependents, it's close to a quarter of our student population is directly connected to the military. I always say the military is part of the DNA of Olympic College, as it is Bremerton and Kitsap and Mason County. So it's a significant part of what we do and who we are. The grant that we received is to provide additional support in terms of advising and counseling, professional development for faculty so they can work with veterans. And it has some lofty goals which I know are obtainable, and it's to significantly increase enrollment of veteran students and to increase graduation and completion rates. But we do have a very strong veteran population, and I like to say that the only thing that I could say that we probably have more of than the University of Washington, or one of the few things, is veterans.
Veterans. Besides our veterans, we have people that are coming back, separating, or and getting out, and they already have some skills. So what the state has done, and I think this is tremendous, they allow them to have in-state tuition. We give them through some testing programs. They don't have to start from scratch. They can take their skill level and advance throughout some of the programs. In addition to that, you've had a program. I know our college started in 1946,
Yes.
but in the 50s we started an apprentice program over at the shipyard. It has been the most successful. The Boeing company has been down several times to take a look at how it's operated because they wish they could do it the same way that we can do it here. But this year, you had to go out on a bid process, and it's the very first time. Tell us a little bit about what the apprentice program has done, the advancement, and really the great partnership that Olympic College has.
Yeah, the apprentice program is a huge part of the college. I wanted to say one more thing about the veterans and getting credit for prior learning in the military when they come to Olympic College. Very excited about a program that we're working on to be the first on the West Coast to give credit for experience gained in the military towards a nursing degree.
Nursing.
And that program should be launched next year. There's a couple on the East Coast, but this would be the first on the West Coast. There's probably about 1,000 students when you look at the helper program and the apprenticeship program that are connected to Olympic College. It is a model program. There's a 96% completion rate, which is almost unheard of. The incentive is that your job's connected to completing, and but it's just a national model, and it receives accolades and awards from throughout the country. So the apprenticeship program is one that we're very proud of. We received the Aspen Award last year, which is the premier recognition of community college excellence. And one of the reasons was our record with the apprenticeship program. It has a 96% graduation rate, and it contributes to the high salaries of our graduates. If you look at the data, a graduate of Olympic College from any program, not just the apprenticeship program, the average starting salary is 180% of the average starting salary of new hires in Kitsap and Mason County. So again, a recent graduate starts in their first job at 180% more than a new hire that didn't go to Olympic College in this region. And after 5 years, they make almost 130% the salary of all employees in Olympic College. So that's one of the main things we're about. It's about careers and employment and improving standard of living for citizens in this area. So it's a great investment to go to into higher education, and specifically at Olympic College. So when you hear, is college worth it? I mean, it definitely depends on where you go and what you major in, but the data shows it's definitely worth it.
Being worth it is because it's affordable, it's something that's in our community. And Dr. Mitchell, I can't thank you enough for sharing all of the things. You just mentioned the Aspen Award. We can go up as Olympic College in 2 years and perhaps win it at that time. So I do know that that's something that you're doing everything possible to make sure that that happens. There's a $1 million award that goes along with that. That's something that can always be used at the college. We've had successes, not just in your staffing, in the new hires that you've got, in the programs that are available to us. But I have to say is that Olympic College is a jewel in Kitsap County and in the entire state of Washington. You are making us proud. It's an honor for us to see the success of all students that are coming and going from the campus, and it's going to be even that much better with the construction that's going on. Thank you for being my guest, and you'll see on the screen ways that you can contact the college in order for you to take and join any one of these programs and continue your education. The success of your career is what we're all about. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you.
See you next time on Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent.